All right, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Israel, Yahweh Bashim Al Shabarakatham. I'm Brother Kazak with Sons of Zion Houston, along with
Brother Kasadia, Sons of Zion, Houston, Shalom.
And Brother Karad is our Sons of Zion Houston.
all praises to the Most High, all praise to the Most High. Hey, welcome to another episode of what? Faith by Works, where we study a commandment week in and week out to further beautify, edify, right, and perfect our walk, right, with the Most High God in deed and in truth, right. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, and verse 17. It says, "And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shah, giving thanks to Yahweh, the Father by him." Right? So we don't do anything in vainglory, right? We don't do anything for a name, for publicity stunts, nothing like that, right? For no vainglory, for no benefits of ourself, right? We do this to benefit, to glorify our Lord by way of his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Right, so that's why we say in the Paleo Hebrew, "Call Halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Wamalak Yahweh Shah." Right, this is the book of James, chapter 2, and verse 14. "What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him?" So, by simply saying and prophesying it with your mouth, I got faith, I fear God, I love God, I got a relationship with God. Is that sufficient enough? Is that it? Is that the end of the battle? Right? Well, verse 17, it says, "Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Ye a man say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works." So you show your fear, your reverence, right, your love, and you perfect, right, and show forth your relationship with the Most High God, right, by your works, right. And the Most High God is saying and explaining here, right, in the book of James, that it's an imbalance. It's a false balance to just say it with your mouth, to just say I have faith, right? And it's also an imbalance when you just do the works and you don't have faith, right? You have to have both, and they have to serve simultaneously. You understand? This is the book of First John, chapter 3, and verse 18. "My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth." Right? So, very simply put, man, we have to prove our faith by our works. So that's why we go out into the highways and hedges and teach our people, along with Deuteronomy 28, a few commandments, so that they'll have what? An initiation process. They'll have what you call a starter package, right? And serving the Lord and changing their ways. So the title of today's lesson is "The Belly is the Beast." All right. The belly is the beast. And why do we say that? We say that because, you know, hey, a lot of our people serve their own belly, their own feelings, their own emotions. And here in today's lesson, we actually highlight what this can lead to, man, and how this could be, how this can spiral out of control, and how this can be, similar to like a ball rolling down the hill, and us trying to get behind it and stop that momentum. You understand? So, a while back, Brother Gabar, right, brought out a beautiful class called Selfless or Selfish. I want to say this was on the Butter Call, right, a couple months back. You can consider this a spinoff of it, if you will, or a part two. Um, Today, we're going to be diving deep into how that selfish spirit that's, detestable unto the Lord, and contrary to Christ's example, right, is more susceptible to fall into addictions. You understand? Because your own belly, right, is telling you one thing, but the spirit is telling you another. And when you serve your own belly, you're more susceptible to fall into, what? Marijuana addictions, smoking cigarettes, vaping, right? Or, smokeless tobacco, like chewing tobacco, right? Snuff, dip, if you will, like how I used to do when I was in the world, right? Alcoholism, partying, that nightlife, right? Pornography is one, right? Sipping codeine, right, to help you sleep and all of that stuff, and then that surfeiting of it spirals out of control, and now you're addicted to it. Now you need it, right? And another one is, shopping, disregarding a financial budget, right? I gotta go. I gotta go window shop. I gotta go shop. I got some money, and it's like I got a hole in my pocket. I know it's there, so I gotta go spend it. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do this. Hey, let's go get it out the store, right? So what it is it's spiraling out of control, and it involves, many synonyms like, surfeiting, right? Overindulgence, right? Greed, right? All of these different things serve as synonyms when it comes to, being overly consumed with serving your own belly, man, right? So serving your own belly can be, the very reasons, we fall into addictions and why we overindulge in things, right? Literally making things an idol in our hearts, right? We're now disregarding, our walk with the Most High God. We're putting His law, statutes, and commandments on the back burner. And last but not least, hey, overindulgences will lead to addictions, right? We put our loved ones in danger. You understand? So today we're gonna dive straight into that, right? Let me get this one. I'm gonna get a couple precepts and then I'll go ahead and pass it, right? This is the book of Philippians, chapter 2, and verse 3. It says, "Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory." Okay, so when you become addicted to something and when you actually serve your own belly, you literally are doing things in vainglory, right? Reading on, it says, "But in lowliness of mind, let us each esteem other let Salakia. But in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves." Right. So lift others up rather than lifting your own belly up, your own feelings, your own self. Right. Look not every man on his own things. Right. That's selfishness. But every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Hamashiach Yahushua. All right. First Peter chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, "Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous." When you're commanded to be courteous, to be pitiful, thoughtful of others, right? To love brethren and have compassion one to another, it's impossible to fulfill that commandment and to do those things and fulfill those actions when you're serving your own belly. You're serving the beast. You're being selfish. You're moving in vainglory. You understand? Galatians chapter 6 and verse 8. "For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption." So it's saying that when you go into, that vainglory, that's serving your own belly, right? Doing what you feel in your own opinion, right? Doing what you feel is good, not worrying about others and the Lord and stuff like that. Operating in inconsideration, right? It says you reap corruption. You lead into an abyss. You understand? "But he that soweth to the spirit shall of the spirit reap life everlasting." You understand? So it's saying walk in the spirit. Now, what does it also say that? And if we go back to Galatians 5 and verse 16, it says, "This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh." When you're walking in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, right? You're literally not fulfilling the lust of the flesh, and the flesh, the lust of the flesh is no longer a challenge to you. You understand? It says, "For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would." Right, Brother Yeshaya was bringing this out last night at Friday camp. Right, the flesh and the spirit, they're steady clashing. Right, but when you operate in vainglory, when you operate and serve your own belly, you're allowing that flesh to win that battle. You understand? As that constant battle takes place. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I'll pass it there. Next time I had a floor, I open up with some definitions to, further highlight the title of today's class. But you got it, Brother Casadio.
90 points that the brother's bringing up, right? So today, this week, what we want to focus on is, again, the title of the lesson is "The Belly is the Beast," right? So what we want to focus in on is just that self-serving mentality that is rampant within our people, right? We got words in the scriptures, right? Such as the book of Sirach, chapter 31, The book of Sirach, chapter 14, I believe, where we call it a nigger, right? And we use that word in the world quite often, right? That nigger mentality. It's like it's the difference between so-called black man and the so-called nigger, right? Well, what is a nigger? But somebody that's extremely selfish, somebody that serves and worships their own belly, like the brother Kazak was bringing out, right? Somebody that's only worried about being sufficient unto themselves and having everything that they can have, right? But these people are insatiable at the end of the day. And the Most High, he warns us about people like this, right? Let's get this in the book of Philippians, chapter 3. Salaki, hold on one second. Boom, this is the book of Philippians, chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 18. It says, "For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Hamashiach, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things," right? So we don't want to be caught with that type of mentality, right? We don't want to be caught always having on our minds what our lusts are for that day or for that week or for whatever, right? And it could be anything. It could be a myriad of things. It could be women. It could be alcohol. It could be food. It could be money, right? Whatever things that we have desired deep within our hearts, right? We can put all of our focus on these things, and it ought not be so, right? Because a man that's subject to a mindset like that, a man who follows his belly, you have to understand, a man like that is never satisfied. A woman like that is never satisfied. They can never have enough, right? You can give them the forest for the trees, and they're still going to want the next continent over, right? Because they think that everything has to do and work for them, right? That's a form of idolatry at the end of the day, right? So this is a mindset we have to always make sure that we always war against, because again, the title of the lesson is "The Belly is the Beast," right? We always use that term. We're stuck in the belly of the beast, especially when we talk about this existence that we live in Babylon, the so-called great, right? In the land of Esau, Edom, right? Let me get this real quick. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, and verse 20. It says, "Hell and destruction are never full," right? So the eyes of man are never satisfied, right? It's just like hell has enlarged herself, as pursuant to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, right? That desire for vain things is something that can never be satisfied or satiated, right? It's something that can never be, it's never enough. It's a fleeting idol, right? That you can never please, right? Even though we have the Most High God who gives us the ways that we can walk and live that we may please him, right? But our people feel the need to go after their own idolatry and please something that can't be pleased. And these are the things that the Lord has warned us. These are the type of people and the type of mindsets that the Lord has warned us to stay away from, right? Get one more precept and I'm going to pass it. The book of Romans, chapter 16. I'm going to start at verse 17. It says, "Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned," right? And the doctrine that we have learned is what better is a little with contentment, right? Then great gain in being ungodly. I butchered that scripture, but that's the doctrine that we have learned, that moderation is much better than excess, right? That living in the simplicity and being thankful for the chief things of life that the Most High God has granted us with, that's the doctrine we have learned, right? To be happy with that. But others, the scripture says, avoid them, right? For they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. right? So these people will rob, kill, steal, finesse, just to kind of feel that insatiable belly that they have, right? Again, it could be of any myriad of things. It doesn't always have to be food, wine, or any of the material things that we like to think of. A lot of people, they want fame, want power, influence, a myriad of different things in order to make their lust, their insatiable desires, in order to kind of fill in that hole that they have at the moment, right? And that's not how we should be, not in this truth, not in this walk, because we're going to call ourselves Israel at the end of the day. And with that, I yield.
Hey, brother, yeah, you made amazing, great points. When you start looking at the levels of addiction, the levels of indulgence, the belly that needs to be full, you got to think about it in so many different ways. So it can go into a couple of aspects. You're trying to satisfy what? Your flesh. And when you start thinking about yourself and what will make you happy, it always comes into at the expense of somebody else. Like the brothers are bringing out, selfishness is a major part of indulgence, overindulgence, or addiction, right? This is the book of 1 Corinthians 10 and 21. Behold, Israel after the flesh, are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar? What say I then? That the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is as anything. But I say that things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to Yahweh. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. So a lot of the times that our people go into these heavy mindsets of being addicted, it's generally when you're following after things of this world, things that people place before you as a stumbling block, and they also present it as a form of idolatry. When you start feeling like you have to use, let's say, weed as a coping mechanism, right? Then you're placing that as an idol in your heart, because you're saying, hey man, before I can get over this circumstance, let me go ahead and light up a blunt, because this will have the power over me to change the outcome to my spirit. When you start looking at our people, we are quickly and easily led into so many different forms of idolatry because we're sheep. So whatever they put before us, and we partake in it, then we're gonna also want to go ahead and not just do it, but we have a way as Israel. We do it, but we take it to another level. So when they introduced marijuana into the world, people have been doing it, but when they gave it to our people, the hippies had it in the 70s, right? Then they gave it to us in the 90s, right? And ever since the 90s, when you start seeing, Biggie and Tupac and all those brothers running around talking about marijuana, Bone Thugs and Harmony, everybody, Afro, just anybody, they started making it an idol for our people to worship. Now you understood it went from, conscious rap to everybody talking about, you went to Snoop, then you went to Wiz Khalifa. They kept it going from generation to generation to pass off these fleshly idols per our people to keep us in that mindset. There's a couple of reasons why, because they understand that we're quick to be drawn near to anything wicked because we're separated from the Most High God, right? So for us, these things that we become addicted or overly indulgent in, they actually become the idols within us, right? And the Lord also said in verse 21, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. So you cannot be consumed with things of idolatry, which only serve yourself, no matter what your vice is. Like I said, some people's vices are weed. Some people's vices are women. Some women's vices are men. Some people's vices are alcohol. Some people want to do heroin, fentanyl, but these are all things that would what? Make you become a person that would sacrifice the righteousness of the Most High God to satisfy your lust. How many addicts are very deceptive and devious, right? They go and by any means will they do anything to satisfy their flesh, right? That's what literally you will break the commandments to satisfy your flesh. That's a powerful idol. right? It says in First Esdras 8 and 69, it says, the nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites. And think about this. It says, and Levites. These are like the men, the temple work of Israel, the ones that serve in the temple, the ones that are holy of Israel. We're all holy, but they go into the holy of holy places. Only certain people can touch the Ark of the Covenant. It even says the holiest of our people have what? Have not put away from them strange people out of the land, nor the pollutions of the Gentiles, to wit of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, the Moabites, Egyptians, and Edomites. So all these things that our people have seen, we have not put away all the pollutions, which are the idolatry things, the indulgence that we partake in, because we are still seeking the ways out of the heathen. How's that still the case, right? The Lord said, "What? Do not seek the ways out of heathen." This is Sirach 9 and 11. The Lord said, "Envy not the glory of a sinner, for thou knowest not what shall be his end." But you do know that. So when you see people going into these addictions because they're seeing it, you're learning to do these things from a place of influence. That's why when you get messed up or whatever drug you do, it doesn't matter. You're under the influence. So you begin idolatry by influence, and then you partake in it to be under the influence. So it's a very big spiritual influential a fight that a person has to take on when they have an addiction or an addictive mindset, because you're constantly having to fight off these spirits of influence because you're seeing it come from a place of wickedness, a sinner, and you're like, man, you know what? That might make me feel good, because the flesh is lust after sin. So if you're looking at that, like, yeah, man, I used to love smoking weed, man, weed's the best, this and that, and you start glorifying it like they glorify Snoop, he's the only one that can go and probably smoke weed on a child's video game, and they like, nah, that's just Snoop. But then when kids are looking at it, they want to be like Snoop. Then they start getting the influence. And then when their life gets hard, they what? Become under the influence, right? So these are the things that they do to us. Why do they want us to have these vices without telling us what? That the Lord's word will heal us and multiply. Let's get that. Let's get that in Wisdom of Solomon real quick. Instead of having addictions, what has the Lord told us to have? He told us to seek his face. There's so many options we can go into. We can go into Sirach 2. Brothers can hit that when they want to. Or you can go into what? Just the word of Wisdom of Solomon. It says 16 and 12. For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster. So there's no concoction that a man can provide or you can take to deal with whatever you got going on that's going to be suitable to deliver you out of the afflictions that the Lord's going to place you through. Because you got to have an understanding. The first place of why you're going through what you're going through is because the Lord finds you to be an acceptable person, but you spiritually are separated, so your eyes are heavy. You don't see the ways of the Most High. All you can see is yourself. So when you endure and encounter a circumstance, you're not seeking the Most High God. You're not seeing the beauty of the adversary adversities or the affliction. You're not looking at it like the water king. You're refining me. You're bringing me into a more endurable state because of what I'm having to keep in a good spirit and a good countenance to overcome. Because I see your beauty work. This is the beauty of the Lord. The fire of the Lord is beautiful. It tempers the gold into fashionable things. It could temper a man into a sword, a warrior. It could temper a man into a dish, being able to have the ability to serve his brother and sister. It could temper you into a menorah where you hold the light for others around you. But when you have an addiction or an indulgent mindset, all you can see is your woes, right? The only things that bother you, the only things that keep, basically you in a situation of lowness, right? This is what the Lord said in 2nd Esdras 15 and 24. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, said the Lord. So when you're over here supporting yourself and focused on yourself and basically placing any power above any vice above the Most High God, creating those to be an idol, you're breaking commandments right there, not even realizing. But do you understand that the extent that your idolatry or that addiction is going to cost you when it comes down to the Most High God. Listen to what he says. He said, destruction. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, said the Lord. He said, I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. Why do we teach our people in the streets not to smoke weed? Because it defiles your sanctuary. It defiles your temple. Right? The Lord is telling you, defile not your temple by any means. By if you need a bottle to cope with life, you're defiling that sanctuary. If you need to, go pop 5 or 6 women just to get all that, just to get your mind distracted, and then you defile, make war, let your sister commit a fornication, possibly even adultery, you're breaking the commandments. The Lord said, what? For the Lord knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivered he them unto death and destruction. So when you have an addiction and you got to get it by any means, and you're stealing from your brother, you're stealing from your woman, you're stealing from your people, you're lying, you're cheating, you're killing, you're robbing. The Lord's seeing all that because all those things normally are done in the dark to feed something that you keep secret anyway. So the Lord said, what? All those things will come to the light, right? So what happens when the Lord delivers you unto death and destruction? He says, for now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. So all these horrible things that you're going on, the Lord is going to leave your ass in here to experience death by pain and destruction because you chose yourself and to feed your own spirit with idolatry and things that of this earth that can't save you, like alcohol. We always say wood and stone, but what about wine and weed and women, money, and these things that are dead anyway? Things because they're without the spirit of the Most High God. I'm not saying women are dead. I'm just saying when you're looking at a man just using a woman, that work itself is dead because you're not fulfilling it with life. You're not doing what the law told you to do. The Lord said, you're going to do that. You shall surely attach her to be your wife, right? So if you're using that as an aspect, that work is dead because you have no faith because you're not keeping the commandment. The Lord said, he said, for Yahweh shall not deliver you because you have sinned against him. That's how bad it is to understand. Man, maybe I need to get my addictions and my mindset, my spirit right, because the Lord is looking at me, choose me, and doing all these defiling of my sanctuary, my temple works as vile enough that he would let me sit on this earth when plagues come and not even try to redeem me because I'm going against him because I need to satisfy myself without seeking the Lord first. Because the Lord said what? It says, neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things. So you can't find nothing, no vice, no material, no anything outside of the Most High God that can heal you because the Lord said, I wound and I heal. So if you're seeking something that is not of the Lord, then you're just looking for more wounds, right? And I deal with that.
God, all praise to the Most High. Mighty points, mighty points by both brothers. Hey, those points were executed with a lot of words that I have to define. So let's go ahead and jump into these definitions, right? Excess, right? Brother Kasadia mentioned insatiable, right? Overindulgence mentioned by Karatazar. So let's jump straight into these. Most people, right? They'll understand what this means. But we want to be thorough. We want to make sure that brothers and sisters understand what this means. Or you may be sitting down with your daughter or with your son. So we need to make sure that we definitely chew it, right? Chew it for them and give it to them. You know what I'm saying? So that they can digest it, right? So let me share my screen, and we're gonna get the actual definition of excess, right? All right. I got a lot of them open. Let me see. It's not giving me actual. Let's get insatiable first, since it's the only. Let's do this. Bear with me 1 second. Brothers, okay. I'm having some trouble doing it here. We'll just do this. Sure. We're going to get insatiable first, right? So when we look up insatiable, brought out by Casadia, right, it says incapable of being satisfied, quenchless, right? It goes into that abyss that I mentioned before, right? And what Karatazar was building on how, addicts, they tend to do whatever it takes, literally, to get that high, right? To get that feeling, right? To, get the emotions, tied to honoring their own belly. You understand? So it says right here, incapable of being satisfied, quenchless. It's an ongoing thing. Brother Casadia mentioned it too and touched on it, how, a person that serves their own belly at the end of the day, it's a never ending thing, right? Quenchless. You understand? We're going to get another one. Excess, right? Real quick, right? So excess, right, according to the Merriam-Webster, is the state or an instance of surpassing usual, proper, or specified limits, right? And those specified limits can vary from brother to brother, sister to sister, right? You tell Potter to kind of, eat this steak, eat these potatoes, right? Eat these green beans, right? And then I'm gonna give you a slice of peach cobbler, right? And give you some peach cobbler and some ice cream. Hey, the brother gonna be a chola. He gonna barf that stuff up. He gonna throw up. You understand? Versus me, or maybe Gabor, we could probably put that away because we're bigger. So that limit, you understand, it varies from brother to brother, sister to sister. This person may be content with just, maybe, a little steak and, a piece of bread. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all they can handle. Right here, it says it's the state or an instance of surpassing usual or proper or specified limits, right? And when it comes to alcohol, hey, one brother may be able to, hey, look, have me a couple shots. That's it. Versus another brother, he take a couple shots, now he's stumbling. You understand? So excess varies from person to person, but we make the cognitive decision to pass that excess, to pass that limit. You understand? It says the amount or degree by which one thing or quantity exceeds another. You understand? Undue or immoderate indulgence. Immoderate indulgence. You understand? We tend to make the cognitive decision in doing so and superseding this and passionate, right? Yeah, I'm buzzing, I'm feeling good, but let me get another one. That's a cognitive decision, right? Hey, that was some good food. I think I'm gonna go get some more. That tastes real good. Well, are you still hungry? You gotta ask that. Aren't you buzzing already? Haven't you got your buzz? Aren't you comfortable? Your ears warm, you laughing, you're merry. Haven't you had enough? Right? And, me and a lot of brothers, right, we talk about working out. We talk about, portion sizes and things of that nature. You understand? And a lot of times it's hard for us to lose weight because we don't know how to, start to eat in moderation, right? Because in order to lose weight, you got to burn more calories than you're putting in, right? But not to go off on a tangent, right? I'm saying all that to tie it in and say excess, right, is in other words, right, superseding a limit, right? Because when you're serving your own belly, right, and you start to be excessive, that's that overindulgence, right? And we can get that next, real quick. All right. Actually, let's get gluten. Can brother see my screen? Okay. All right. So gluten. Gluten is defined as one given habitually to greedy and voracious eating and drinking, right? So to be a glutton, right, that means that you have what you've done is you created a habit and being greedy, right? You see it, you know it's there. I want it. It's covetousness, right? It's a spinoff from covetousness. You know, you see it there. It's like, man, it was good. I like how it went down. I want to get some more of it. Not for no particular reason. Not because I'm still hungry. Not because it's because I want it. I know it's right there. It says one that has a great capacity for accepting or enduring something, right? That's another one of it, right? A glutton of punishment, but doesn't serve the point, right? But it says right here, habitually to greedy or voracious eating and drinking. A lot of our people do this in Israel, and we have to understand that that's detestable unto the Lord, right? Surfeit, right? Surfeiting, right? If you will, that's another one, right? Let me get that one. Right? We can get drunkard first since it's right here. The definition of drunkard is one who habitually drinks, right? Who is habitually drunk, right? And we can search the scriptures and see what the Most High God says about a drunkard, right? That's one who wakes up, gotta have it. Gotta have it with lunch. Hey, gotta have it to go to sleep. Gotta have it to do this. And we see, right, when we look into the book of Matthew, I want to say chapter 6, right? It goes into how you can't serve two masters, right? And the understanding I have with that is, hey, you can't get the kingdom of heaven saying that I love God, but I need me a blunt when I go up there. I love God, but I need to have me some strong drink, right? So I can enjoy that, that firmament. So I can enjoy, you know what I'm saying, everything that the Lord has for us. Well, the Most High God is sufficient enough. When you start to look at alcohol, when you start to look at marijuana, when you start to look at all of the different substances that we mentioned before, it becomes placed as an idol, right? And we know how the Most High God feels about idols in our heart, right? And when we actually get the definition of surfeit or surfeiting, right, we see it as defined as this. Surfeit or surfeiting, it's an overabundant supply, right? And there we see it all tied in full circle with the word excess. An intemperate or immoderate indulgence in something, such as food or drink. So we see how these all serve as synonyms, right, to the word excess, right? So let's go to the scriptures real quick, right? Drink in moderation. Let's see what the scriptures talks about in that, right? When we go to the book of Sirach, chapter 31 and verse 27, it reads, wine is as good as life to a man if it be drunk moderately. Why does it say that? Because you got to think about all of the different consequences that come with the overindulgence, if you will, the surfeiting with drinking, right? The excess drinking. What happens? You can get into an accident, right? And then, the mother of your children that's at home waiting on you, right? She's now a widow, right? Now the children are fatherless, right? If you are a company vehicle driver, right? And you drive for a company, hey, you get your license suspended with that DWI conviction, right? The list it goes from here all the way along the block. You got to think about killing somebody else, right? You got to think about putting others in danger. You're selfless you're serving your own belly, and now everybody else involved is now put on the back burner. You understand? It says, what life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad, right? Wine measurably drunk in season brings gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind. But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind with brawling and quarreling. Hey, that makes me go back to that movie, was that The Temptations, Brother Kasadi, right? When Paul fell addicted to alcohol, right? See, at first he was happy, he was glad. But we see Paul spiraling out of control, and he starts to become a brawler with his wife. He starts to quarrel with the other brothers that's telling him, hey, I think you had too much. And then he embarrasses himself by trying to dance, by trying to sing, by trying to, play the piano in front of everybody. Hey, look, I can get back in. I can get back in. We see how Paul in the Temptations in that movie, how he spiraled out of control and then won. And then what? Blew his brains out. You understand? Made him bitter of the mind. So this is why we're supposed to drink in moderation and just drink with gladness. Enjoy yourself, man. Because when you're excessive with it, this leads to manslaughter, intoxicated manslaughter. It comes to killing another loved one. It comes to abandoning loved ones, right? The brothers that look forward to seeing you every week, they no longer can see you. Now they got you on a t-shirt. You understand? Like we have to be careful with being excessive, with overindulging and surfeiting. You understand? I'm gonna get one more. Right? What does the Lord say about a drunkard? It says, woe unto them in the book of Isaiah 5:11. It says, woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them. You understand? So this is what you call a drunkard. All right. It's defined as a person that needs it throughout their whole days. That's that habitualness, right? That we got in that definition, right? Of excess. You understand? You need it throughout your day. You wake up to it, you lay down with it, right? You got to consider the consequences, right? The consequences in Luke 21 and verse 34, it says what? And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life. And so that day come upon you unawares. So that day, we don't know how much mercy we receive from the Lord, right? We talk about this all the time. We don't know how much mercy we're going to receive from the Lord, right? And that day of great judgment that you fall into that hole that the Lord has placed you in the judgment of his hand, you don't know when that day is coming, and it'll come to you unaware. It's going to come unaware already, but you have to examine, right, that drunkenness that it leads up to, right? Because that mercy, man, is only given to those that fear him, as mentioned in Luke chapter 1 and verse 50. You understand? But I'm gonna go ahead and yield there. You got it, brother Kasadi.
King, mighty points that the brother was bringing out. Honestly, I want to dig into that Sirach 31 again. I'm gonna get it in the G and T, right? Because it's very important that we understand, especially when it comes to overindulging in things that could be harmful for us, like overindulging in alcohol. Yeah, wine is good to settle your stomach, but too much of anything is always a bad thing. Alcohol can get very toxic, right? Okay, before I jump in Sirach, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 1. It says, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise, right? So you can be deceived by the overindulgence of a strong drink, like the brother was bringing out. It's Sirach 31, right? A lot of people like to put on beer goggles when you're talking about the way they look at women. Like a lot of people like to get those what's they call them? What they call them beer muscles. Beer muscles when they overindulgent at the tap, right? And these things are not only are they unwise, but they're very ignorant. You can get yourself hurt. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble, right? You can get yourself not only in legal trouble, but as the brother's bringing out, you can put your life in danger. If you got loved ones at home, now they're at home worrying about you simply because you've been deceived thereby by strong drink, which is raging in your body and mocking you, making you look foolish, right? So this is the book of Sirach, chapter 31. I'm starting at verse 25. This is in the G and T, right? It says, don't try to prove your manhood by how much you can drink. Wine has been the ruin of many, right? Don't be out here trying to have damn drinking competitions all the time, right? At all, really and truly, because not only are you doing something foolish within yourself, but you're harming someone else and goading him with a wicked spirit of competition, right? It says an arrogant person's character shows through when he is in a drunken argument. In the same way that iron is tested when it is heated red hot, then dipped in water. It says wine can put new life into you if you drink it in moderation. What would life be without it? Wine was created to make us happy. So again, like we were saying, ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of wine, a little bit of strong drink here and there, right? In moderation. It's good for you. The Most High God gave us these things. He blessed us with these things so that we can partake of them, and all of our cares and worries are soothed away, right? He didn't give these things to us so that we may be out of our minds, right? Out here raging, being party animals, being straight up lustful demons, simply because of the fact that we could not contain ourselves, control ourselves, tell our flesh no, right? Verse 28 says, if you drink it in moderation and at the right time, it can lift your spirits and make you cheerful. But if you drink when you are angry and upset, it leads to headaches, embarrassment, and disgrace. A drunken fool can lose his temper and hurt himself. His drinking makes him weak and an easy target for angry blows, right? You literally make yourself a sitting duck when you indulge in these things. And honestly, just to take it off of alcohol, even when you talk about overindulging in food, right? We've all had that feeling where we sat there and we may have ate way too much, and now you just can't. You're a damn turtle on his back now. You can't do nothing. You are useless, right? You can't get up. Somebody would have break into your house and tell you to run it. You got to kind of run it because you're not moving, right? You overindulge in television, and all of a sudden, you got headaches, right? You try to go to sleep, but you can't because the storyline or the plot line or whatever you was watching just keeps replaying in your head, right? You're having flashes in your eyes whenever you close your eyes because of overindulging in things, right? That overindulgent spirit, again, the brother brought out the word gluttony, right? In the world, we knew gluttony was a sin. In the world, however, we allow ourselves to become victim to gluttonous practices, right? Then again, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. In the moment, we're talking about alcohol, but it can be anything, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 14. I'm going to start at verse 5. It says, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. There is none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. Right? A person like this, not only are they evil to themselves because they don't have any type of self-control, but they're evil to their neighbors, the people around them. Right? We talk about going back a few years, they had the 99% versus the 1%, right? Well, why was the 99% so upset? Well, it was because they felt like the 1% had 99% of the wealth of the country, right? So they had an insatiable amount of wealth. Meanwhile, the 99%, aka the rest of the country, are living paycheck to paycheck and out here struggling, right? Well, it took an evil, greedy, insatiable 1% in order to make it to where that small percentage of a population controls the 99% of the wealth, right? Now you have somebody that has a target on their back, and you have a bunch of people that are out here disenfranchised and discombobulated simply because of one person or 1%'s greed and insatiability, right? That envious man, right? It said, verse 8, it says, the envious man hath a wicked eye. He turneth away his face and despiseth men. You got to be a real evil person to sit there and try to keep more and more and more up to yourself, knowing that it's taken away from everybody else, right? It says a covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul, right? So again, that insatiability, that lack of the ability to be satisfied in the things that you were blessed with, right? That lack of thanksgiving, right? Of appreciation for the things that the Most High God has given you, right? All it will do is corrupt everything around you, right? It'll corrupt you from the inside out, because now you have a demon that can't be pleased, and it'll corrupt everything around you, because everything around you is being stripped away from in order to kind of fill your void, your belly, right? As the brother was bringing out. I had a few more precepts, but I'm gonna get right there.
Mighty points. The brothers are moving wise through the spirit, and we tell our brothers these and our sisters this and our children this, so we don't fall, into these voided pits that just lead to destruction and to, worsening of our nation as a whole, right? One thing that the brother was bringing out that was very, important to understand is that why the Lord say, thou shalt not covet? Because when you start looking upon something, you get something called desire. You get something that causes justification. And then you'll start telling yourself whatever you need to be told to convince yourself a wrong work is good, is right. Or you need something that you don't. You'll convince yourself that sin isn't that bad, because it's different for me, because I'm sinning, but it's not like that. The Lord knows my heart. It'll convince you to be what? Vile in your affections towards the Most High and towards yourself. Like the brother said, if you can't do good to yourself, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not looking at diligently taking care of your spirit, you're not trying to take care of your health, you're not trying to take care of your family, your brothers, your sisters, your people. You can't take care of somebody else if the only person you think about is yourself, right? And that's a very greedy mindset to have, right? This is the book of Proverbs 15 and 27. It says, he that is greedy of gain, oh man, I need to get this. I need to get another drink. Man, I need to get some more money. But not just any money. That brother's money sitting right there. And I need money, so I need to gain that. Anything ill-gotten gain will go to naught, bro. So when you're looking at it and you're like, man, there's all this drink that's available. You don't have to have a greedy, covetous spirit. You can just drink moderately. You can indulge moderately. But the moment you start getting greedy to be like, there's a surplus of everything, let me just over consume. Let me just run its course. Let me just get to my field and above the rim. The Lord says, he that is greedy of gain. Oh, I can take all this and it's not going to cost me nothing. I'm just going to go ahead and overly, utilize resources just because I have a gluttonous spirit, or I have a self-serving spirit, a selfish spirit. The Lord says, it troubleth his own house. So generally, when you're trying to gain something and you're greedy, it's generally going to bring an axe down to your home. So if you can't contain yourself while drinking, you're drinking, what's going to happen? Repercussions, consequences of the world. And when you get those consequences of the world, how's that going to affect? What's it going to affect first? The Lord said it troubleth his own house. Because now you have to deal with unwanted legal issues, or the loss of employment, or the ability to not get future employment. And that's going to go into what? Our resources. And as the Israelites, we're under curses. So we're subject to our these heathens for all things, including work, finances, food, clothes. We have to be able to live in a system that we can survive in lawfully, as it's against us off the top. But he said, but he that hateth gift shall live. So if you're that brother, like, it's not saying that you don't accept the gift. It just means like your natural spirit is to be like, no, bro, you know what? I didn't do that for that. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate you looking out for me, but you don't have to do that. If you really naturally push away things because you're content with what you have as yourself, doesn't mean you don't receive things. It's just that natural spirit of, you're not looking for somebody to be like, here, oh, come on, you know, thanks. You're just looking to take. You have a little resistance, you know, fortitude. You have the ability to say no. You know, that's what it's saying, that when you have a non-greedy spirit, you're fine with what you have. You don't require much, right? This is the book of Sirach 37 and 29. It says, I'm gonna start with 28. Actually, I'm gonna start with 27. It's lucky. It says, my son, prove thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not back unto it. So if it seems evil for you to do this, you can look at your brother, and why are you drinking? Drink is evil. No, brother, I don't abuse that. I use it in moderation. I make, you know, responsible decisions. But if it's too much for you, if it's a stumbling block, then cast it far from thee. Because for you, it doesn't apply the same way to me, because we're not handling the situation. Even if it's the same thing, we're doing it. We're having two different spirits behind the way we're acting with it or utilizing it, right? It says if it's evil for it, if it's something that you struggle with and you know it's just gonna bring trouble to your own house, push that away, man, and give that unto it, man. That should be something that you like, just like back in the day, man. I know that's why I say I don't try to do things that I used to do in the world. You know, even if you can try to find a lawful way to do certain things, because I know it will be something that troubles my own house, because it's gonna bring in something later, because it was such a huge downfall for me in the world. I don't want to reintroduce that to me as I'm spiritually trying to gain closeness to the Most High and to my people and to my nationality and to my duties as an Israelite. I had to push away a lot of things in the world that were definitely destructive to my house. It says, for all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. So just because somebody else can do it and they can enjoy it and it don't hurt them, don't mean you can. Sometimes you gotta be able to say, this is not for me, this is bad for me. Y'all can do that, but I'm gonna do something different. Maybe instead of me doing what y'all do, but maybe I'll do this and still have a good time. But I know if I touch that, that's gonna bring me low, because I struggle with that. It's not that, because this world, the Lord said, prepare thyself for temptation. So the world's not going to remove all temptation just because you struggle with it. That's the test that men have. You have to make it through these motions, these situations of temptation, and still walk upright in the right. And you can't blame it on nobody else just because they have the ability to what? Has nothing to do with them. It wasn't what may not be troublesome for me isn't troublesome for you. I'm not saying that intentionally cast a stumbling block for your brother. That's different. But if you see that, you know what, you can't be removed from the world's not clean just for you to have an easy walk. The world is built out of tribulations and tests and faith. These are the things that refine a man, like the fire at the furnace, man. It says, be not insatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. Meaning things that you consume, man. You can literally take that for food, but also anything that you intake. Didn't the Lord say herbs or seed-bearing herbs are used for meat? Meaning that you eat it. You consume it, but it was a plant of meat? No. So what it's saying is, don't be just so caught up on every little thing. Oh man, I need to get that. I need to get that. Then you lose yourself because you're trying to be greedy, because what? You're trying to consume everything, even if it's bad for you, just because you see somebody else and it may not affect them that way. You have to have enough strength to know and be honest with yourself to say, I'm weak here. I can't do that. So I have to remove myself, because I can't. The world won't remove itself for me. Maybe I have to learn to have strength and fortitude to remove myself from situations, or to seek a brother, or to seek the Lord to get strengthened in that, to be able to fight in these temptations. Because the Lord said, when you come into, let's bring that out in Sirach 2, and I'm going to go back there. It says it. The Lord said in Sirach 2:1, my son, if thou comest to serve the Lord. So when you're in this truth and you know you made a choice, I'm here to serve the Lord, here to do these works. The Lord said, prepare thy soul for temptations. That means the things that you have struggled with, the Lord is telling you, hey, you know better now. You know you should be moving different. So when you come across these things, you got to be prepared to handle it the way that I'm showing you through the scriptures, versus the way that you handled it without me through the flesh. This is the test of men. The Lord's gonna have to give you. Look, what did Job? What did Most High do to Job? He presented who? The adversary to test Job's faith by presenting him with what? Temptations, and not just temptations, but more or less adversity, afflictions. But those things were tempting him to what? Curse the Most High God. It was tempting him to start, getting out of the spirit and moving against what he knew was sound, because he was going through his affliction. So I've seen it, and it's a sad thing to see people switch up for the Lord because they would rather feel pleasure in sin because they can go with what makes them feel good versus feel struggle or affliction to maintain, to show your faith and your devotion to the Most High by holding steady against a strong wave, standing upright. Anybody that's been to the beach, walk out far enough and let a big enough wave hit you. It's going to push you back. But the point about it is when you're standing for the Lord, that's the world coming at you, that wave. That's sin. That's temptation. That's your feelings. That's your own conceit. That's the wickedness and influence of the earth. But you're planted into that sand in the world, in the water, in the ocean. You're still amongst the ocean, but then what's different is that wave, that temptation, that affliction, that low point, that voice that says, hey, give into idolatry, give into your addiction, hide these sins, do these things that make you feel good. That's going to slap you in your face. It's going to push you back, and your whole body's going to go back. But your job is to stay planted and not let that wave knock you down or push you back or pull you under. And now you get drawn into an undertow and drown. Right? You're supposed to stand tall. And if you realize, man, this world is too much, how about just start walking backwards? How about walk out of the water and stand on the beach so you don't have to fight these damn waves anymore? How about get out of the world so you don't have to fight against the world pushing against you to knock you down, to bring you under the water and drown you in an undertow? How about be smart enough to, if you want to be able to be a part of the world, to put your feet in something that's not going to be compromising to your health. Your feet can't drown, but you can. So know how deep to go. But you don't know how to swim. How about sit on the edge and let the water just come up and touch your feet, and you don't ever have to go into it. Let the world come to you, and you stay out of it. If that's so much, you can't swim, right? And it says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble. Man, I'm going through it, man. I need a drink, man. I'm going through it, man. I need a blunt, man. Shit, I'm going through it, man. I need to get some stress out. Hey, Shawty, what you up to? This is the Lord said, don't be hasteful. Don't be trying to be quick to fix your own problem, man. You know what? Seek the Lord's face, because he's doing this. Why? It says, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased in that last end. The last end, not the beginning of your troubles. At the end of you going through it, if you hold on tight to the Lord, you stand good with a good spirit, you seek him, you pray, you fast, you go to brothers, you're not allowing the world to consume you because you're strengthening the word of the Most High, you're going to be better than you were when you started going through that stuff in the beginning, because you use the Lord as your power and not a vice, not an idol, right? Because a lot of people use these idols and these things, and they get consumed by the troubles of life because they don't know that this is for their good. They don't know how to accept chastening, or not even chastening, refining. Chastening and refining, they feel similar, but they have two different reasons. Chastening is because you're doing something that you're not supposed to do, and the Lord's he's gonna make you do what you're supposed to, but it's out of punishment. Refining, it feels bad. It's a lot of heat. You're going through a lot, but it's not because you did nothing wrong. It's because the Lord wants you to be more strong, increased. He wants you to endure. He wants you to have more strength. He did it out of love without you doing anything wrong. But they both feel very hard to go through because it's not pleasurable. So a man may feel, and if you don't know the Lord's thoughts. So sometimes you think it's chastening, sometimes it's refining. Sometimes you think it's refining, sometimes it's chastening. But the point is, you're going through something undesirable. But either way, if you did it and you're getting punished, or the Lord just wants to make you stronger, you're gonna feel that, and it's not gonna be what you want it to be. And it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a test. But why? It said, the Lord said, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. So when things happen to you, you know, you get jammed up. This is what shows the character of a man. If you really have the faith in the Most High God, if you really are upright and you believe in the words of the Most High God, you're not who you are at your best. You're who you are when you're at your worst. It's like when somebody says you're not who you are in front of people, it's who you are when nobody's looking. So your true character is going to be the man that's defining you is going to be the one built out of adversities. It's a lot harder to smile and to be kind when the world is attacking you and everybody around you is being hateful and mean to you. It's hard for you to keep that spirit when everything that you're trying to show forth is getting used against you. So if you have that spirit of the Lord, man, you know that, hey, the Lord said it, I got to bring it up. It's locked. Ecclesiastes 8 and 5. This is what this means when you're reading this stuff. Ecclesiastes 8 and 5 says, whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. So when you're going through things, you got to have that understanding of the Most High God that Sirach 2 is telling you about, because you're going to know that it could be chastening, it could be refining, but it don't matter because it's the Lord. He's not killing you. He's trying to rid you of something that you need to get out of you, an impurity, or trying to build you up stronger than what you already are. Maybe he's not trying to take nothing out. He's just adding a little more weight on the bench to increase your strength. But it's a little harder to push up, but it's not because you're weak. It's because you're strong. And he wants to make you stronger so he gives you more weight, right? But why does he do that? For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So the Lord's not going to put you through things like that if he doesn't see that you have value, that you're an acceptable man in his eyes. You're not. We are filthy rags, but there's a difference between a filthy rag and a menstrual rag, right? I can't even touch that. That's unclean to me. But if I touch a rag that has a little dirt on it, did I go off? No, I just gotta wash my hands. Because there's a difference between the levels of filth and adversities that you go through, right? But when the Lord puts you through something at a lower state, it's because he's like, that's when you try somebody. You try a girl you just met, you're not gonna be like, you're gonna give her a little test to see how far she's gonna take you. You're gonna say, hey, you want to go out to eat? Oh yeah, cool. This is the point where she's gonna show forth her true intention. She can say she don't have to know how much money you make, you don't have to know anything, but you're gonna see the intent of their heart. What would you like to eat? Rude Chris. Oh, okay. You ever been there? Nah, but I deserve the best. Okay. Do you ever go there by yourself? No, it's too expensive for me, but you got it. Huh. So the Lord's going to give you that same test. He's going to put you in a position at a lower state to see, are you going to switch up on him? Are you going to curse his name like Job's wife told him to do? Curse the Lord's name and die. You're going through it, man. The hell with it, bro. He got offended, man. You speaking like one of these speak. You want to speak. Get out of here. Why the hell? What? Curse the Most High God? Shall I say that, the Lord can't, I should say only the good and not the evil from the Most High God? What are you talking about? This is what Job is talking about. You shall feel no evil thing because you know the love of the Lord isn't evil. But if you don't keep the commandments, you're going to be separate. Why me? Why is this going on? Why do I always go through this? Why does everything bad always happen to me? You're not going to have the wisdom that the Lord is showing you to feel like love. This is why. Oh, man, I'm going through all this stuff because the Lord may actually like me. Maybe actually has not just love me. Now, like a child, he actually might. You can love a lot of people and not like it. Trust me. I know somebody right now. I love you, but I don't like you, right? But that's different. The Lord, when he says, I love you and I like you, I see something great in you. But hey, I'm gonna put you through something and see if you really are ready for the things I can give you. Because sometimes you're not strong enough for the blessings that you're about to get because you're not built up enough. And if you get them, it might actually break you down and corrupt you because you're not ready spiritually strong enough to understand how to handle such a thing. That's why we have to be built up with time and with faith. But you got to do that. You got to do that because what? Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy and go not aside. lest you fall. And so when you're going through it, you're not gonna trip out, because you fear counting the works of the Lord as nothing. Curse. Think about it like this: you cussing out and cursing the situation that you're really going through is basically saying that you're getting mad at the Lord the way He's either trying to build you up or punish you. Either way, you're back talking or complaining against the Most High that knows better for you because you don't understand. And then so that you throw a tantrum and you go seek your own ways, your own vices, your own idols to talk to and to confide in, to trust in, to attach to, because you don't understand the ways of the Most High, and you find it as hate versus understanding that what you're going through is love, because He brought you low just to see if your spirit is going to change or is it going to bring you closer to Him. But mostly because if you're not with the Most High God, you will feel that evil thing because you're not going to keep these commandments. You're not going to seek the Lord. You're not going to not put another idol before me. There shall be no other gods, nor bow down to them. I'm gonna bend down and bow down to this cup. I'm gonna bow down to this woman. I'm gonna bow down to this drug, because you don't keep the commandments. So now you're gonna feel that. You're gonna feel everything. But if you do, and you're getting brought low, it makes you feel all right. It makes you feel I'm happy anytime I go to something. I'm like, all right, maybe the Lord likes me. Maybe the Lord loves me. Maybe I'm going through all of these horrible things because maybe the Lord may think that I'm worth something. I don't know what it is, but I feel good because I've seek out the Lord and I trust in the Lord with all my heart and all my soul to know that He loves me. And and this is my last verse, and I'm in the verse right here. Because if the Lord loves me, all the stuff that you're going through, what should it feel like? What should it be? This is the book of Romans 10 and what? 10 and 10. 13 and 10. That's what I'm on. Romans 13 and 10. This is what you got to think about when the Lord's pushing you through things. It says, love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. So the Lord loves you. He's not going to do evil to you. He's going to do everything that we're supposed to be doing with each other because He's perfect. So with that, I yield.
Very thorough breakdown, King. I'll praise the Most High. I can tell you, building off personal experiences as well. Great testimony. I'm gonna get a couple more, right, and then I'll pass it to you, Kasadi, if you want to close or if you got any other points, precepts, right. So what the brother was building on, ultimately, what I got from it is keeping your integrity, man. Everybody is, everybody has their own, cross to bear, right? Everybody needs to be able to identify after thorough examination on what you can and cannot do in this walk in order to really just grow. You understand? Because you'll stunt your growth at the end of the day. If you know you have a drinking problem, if you know you have an eating problem, if you know you have a smoking problem, right? You used to smoke heavy in the world. Hey, you got to stay away from people that smoke. You have to stay away from, and you have to, I don't know, like go on your social media page and kind of monitor your ads, man. But we know ads is built off of what you're searching. But, if you're seeing a lot of, food ads and stuff like that, you kind of got to go up in there, fondle with your settings, man. So you can make sure that you don't overeat. So you can make sure that you don't allow those demons to come back in, right? So I think at the end of the day, we have to keep our integrity and we have to prove ourselves. We know our own selves, right? Matter of fact, let's get there. Let's get the classic. 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5, it says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith, right? You have to examine yourself, right? You have to look in the mirror and you have to question your every motive behind every move that you make. Think about your thoughts. Well, that's kind of, that don't make sense. Think about your thoughts, but examine your thoughts, right? And everything that you do, everything that you put your hand to, right? It says what? With a semicolon, prove your own selves. That's in complete alignment with what the brother was bringing out. It says, know ye not your own selves, how that Mashiach Yahweh Shai is in you, except ye be reprobates. Every brother and every sister, right, viewing and in this walk, right, needs to be examining themselves so that they won't fall into that abyss, so that they won't wake up one day and their candlestick is completely blown. You know what I'm saying? One day you want to, go and get tattoos. One day you want to go and out of nowhere, right? Start to dress immodestly or dress different, right? For attention, right? All of these different things out of nowhere, it comes about, and you've become reprobate. And that's because of a failure to examine and a failure to what? Analyze your integrity. Analyze, your limits, what you can and cannot do in this walking in this truth. Lest you be what? Stunted in growth. Lest you be what? Stagnant. Lest you be, right, one to go backwards instead of forward, right? So ultimately, what we can do from this class is examine and understand this, right? When you serve your own belly, you're more susceptible to become an addict in making sure that your belly is always satisfied. And when you do this, it's a never-ending thing. It's an abyss. It's an ongoing situation because it's never satisfied. And then what? Now you have to examine and you have to consider the consequences before going down that path, right? This is the book of Proverbs 16 and verse 23. It says, a good man's heart thinketh, and his mouth shall speak good. Hey, this is a proverb that suggests that a person's actions and words should be guided by a good, pure heart and wise thinking, man. Wise thinking. For an example, we all drinking, right? Chilling, enjoying a feast. Enjoying the Lord's Sabbath. Coming together. You've had one, you've had enough, you're satisfied. You know what? I got this water bottle. Let me put some in here. Let me get some to go. Hold on, man. What is this doing? Is this wise thinking? Will this put you behind bars? Will this put your life in danger? This will raise the percentages of never seeing my brother again. You have to think of with wise thinking and also think of a pure heart because, that's that excess. That's that overindulgence. That's that greed. You understand? That's that surfeiting that's coming from your belly. And if you serve it and you put that in that water bottle, we don't know when that mercy is going to give out from the Most High God. You understand? Overindulging strong drink or anything, man. Eating, smoking, I don't know. Let's just say it's an honest and pure habit, hobby that you've obtained, right? For an example, let's use myself, riding horses, right? If I overindulge in horseback riding and I become infatuated with getting new saddles, new tack, right? New reins, new bits, all this stuff in there and the third. I'm steady hitting up, the cats at the barn that are also tenants at the property. Hey, y'all riding today? Hey, y'all riding today? Hey, that overindulgence will lead to me what? I see we got the history class, Karatazar. I see him talking. I see Potter talking on the history. I ain't getting on there today. I'm going to ride. I'm going to saddle up. One day is all right. Tomorrow, they call your phone. Hey, man, I like how that thing was stepping. I like the form. That horse was looking real good yesterday. It was coming on down that hill, cuz. Hey, pull her out again. Now you saddle up again, right? And you see now it's Thursday. Kind of got you got the reading call. Now Gabar's talking on Clubhouse. Finna bring out the all body. Nah, I'll pass on that. Now it's an overindulgence. Now it's an idol in your heart. Now horseback riding has become an idol in your heart. You see what I'm saying? Now you're excessive in doing that, and you start to abandon the Lord. You're no longer studying, no longer reading, no longer meditating and examining yourself. You're abandoning your integrity. Now, next thing you know, going to trail rides. You ain't going to camp no more. You going to trail rides on Saturday. Kind of hollering at the women that's twerking on top of the wagons. You see the abyss and how this takes place? So it's a domino effect that we have to be careful. Because when you serve your own belly, right, you're serving a beast, man. Right? I'm gonna get one more an account in Sirach 31 on how to behave at a feast. Talking about indulgence, right? We're gonna start at verse 12. It says, if thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it. and say not, there is much meat on it. Damn. Shit, got the lamb right here. Oh man, let me raise this up here. Got the peeling back the foil. Oh man, you got some brisket. Oh man. Hey man, you gotta be careful with that spirit, right? Because now you're giving way to that greed, right? We're gonna go to verse 17. It says, leave off first for manners' sake, and be not unsatiable, lest thou offend. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. That's the mannerism that you should have. Kind of gathered around, facing the east, palms up, Potter leading us in prayer at the feast. You know what I'm saying? But we in a hurry. Okay, all right, Con. Yeah, how about you, shopper? Let me get some of this. Hey, babe, get some plates and get some foil. We're gonna take something. Hold on, man. It's no longer about the Lord at this point. We're no longer sincerely praying unto him and thanking him for, hey, we just did this a couple weeks ago. Kasadi had a whole class on and everything give thanks. You're no longer giving thanks. You're serving your own belly. You understand? Reading on, it says what? A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured. And he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him. But the pain of watching and choler and pains of the belly are with an unsatiable man, right? So it's talking about all the different consequences that come with the overeating. Can't get no sleep because you got too much food on your stomach, right? You're throwing up, sickness. The brother Karatazar was bringing that out in Sirach 37, right? Not indulging in too much meat, right? So all of this and done in not in moderation, it brings pain, it builds sickness, it builds vomiting when you're being unsatiable, when you're serving your own belly, right? Picking up at verse 23, skipping down, it says, whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, and the report of his good housekeeping will be believed. But against him that is a niggard, what Brother Kasadi was bringing out, right? Of his meat, the whole city shall murmur, and the testimonies of his niggardness shall not be doubted of. So you start to build, right, a bad reputation. Like Brother Kasadi was bringing out. Now we see you as a brother was like, oh, shit. All right, everybody, hope y'all got something because this brother finna clean it on up, right? Kind of got that Nutty Professor spirit, right? When they was up in that movie and they went after the avocado, boom, and only left the seed left. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we have to eat in moderation. We can't be greedy. We have to show manners, man. Show consideration to the people who prepared it, right? The beautiful sisters of the body prepared it. Shouldn't they get some? The kids, right? Hey, what if the actual host of the feast wanted to, kind of meal prep? But you coming out of here with a stack of plates, Don't have the to-go plate spirit. All right. We have to manage that. We have to be very, very careful with that, man. That's not showing manners as it's explaining right here. Right? But I yield there, Brother Kasadi. You can go ahead and close it up, or if you got any final points.
No, just a couple more points just so we can close it out. What we got to understand is these things that we're being very gluttonous over, right? All of it is vanity at the end of the day. Vanity and vexation of spirit, right? None of these things are going to profit us, right? No amount of food are we going to be able to store up that's going to get us through the day of wrath. There's no amount of money that can buy our way out of that, right? No amount of strong drink that can put us out of our mind enough to not feel what's going to happen in these last days, right? So what should we be focusing on, right? First and foremost, we got to understand that these things that we are insatiable over are vanity and vexation of spirit. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, in verse number 14. It says, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit, right? None of these things are profitable for us, right? None of these things, yeah, wine may make the heart merry, but it's not going to save you at the end of the day. None of these things, Salaki. Yeah, let me bring that out. Baba Kashah, if you will. It's from Brother Karatazah, Romans chapter 14, verse 17. It says, for the kingdom of God is not meat and drink, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Ghost. For he that in these things serveth Hamashiach is acceptable to the Most High and approved of men. Right? Just like the scripture said that the brother brought out. Right? All of these things that constitute the kingdom, us getting the kingdom, the things of the spirit, that righteous walk, right, following after Hamashiach, that we should be setting our mind towards. These are the things that we should be having our desires on, right? These are the things that we should be looking to at all times, right? And that's the spirit that kind of brings me to my point. The book of Psalm chapter 17 and verse 15. What should be the thing that satisfies us? What should be the things that we should be nourishing ourselves, filling ourselves up, filling that void that brother Kazak was bringing out earlier? What should we be filling these things up with? Right? This book of Psalm chapter 17 and verse 15. It says, as for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I wake with thy likeness. Right? So us trying to be more like the Most High God, those are the things that should be satisfying us from day to day. Whenever we're in trouble, whenever we're going through afflictions, which afflictions are going to come, like the brother Karatazah was bringing out, we shouldn't incline our heart to move back toward evil. We should instead incline our heart to seek out the Most High more, to pray more, to fast more, to study more, and become more diligent. Because at the end of the day, the Most High God is going to sustain every single one of us, right, that return back into him. Right? Let's prove that. And forgive me, my allergies are kind of messing with my vocal cords. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31. Start at verse 11. It says, for the Lord hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of the Most High, for wheat and for wine, and for oil, and for the young flock, and of the herd. Their souls shall be a watered garden, and they shall not sorrow any more at all. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, both young men and old together. For I will turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them, and make them rejoice from their sorrow. And I will satiate the soul of the priest with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says the Most High. Right? So what can you possibly fill yourself up that would be better than that? Right? I can tell you anything that you can kind of come up with in your mind is all vanity and vexation of the spirit. Right? We have promises that the Most High God has given to us, but we have to make sure that we set our hearts on that treasure, right? And not our hearts on the things of the world, right? Because the lovers of pleasures, here, go get it. How you say you're hungry and you give me a cup? That's different. Real quick, this is the book of Proverbs chapter 21 verse 17. It says, he that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man, and he that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. Right? These things at the end of the day, like we've been bringing out, they serve to take from you. They serve to be just vanity and vexation of the spirit, right? Any vice that you can think of, 9 times out of 10, it's costing you something, right? Whether it be your money, whether it be your time, whether it be your health, whether it be your relationship with your loved ones, right? That insatiable lifestyle is always going to cost you something in the end, right? It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, and verse 20. It says, "Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and dress shall clothe a man with rags," right? Again, these particular insatiable lifestyles, right? All they're going to lead you to is being into a lower estate that we're already in a lower state, right? We don't want to be what brothers in the camp like to call two-time losers, right? We're already going through all manner of affliction and curses. So why would we add on to these things just because we can't kind of dial back on some of our vices, right? Whether it be food, whether it be drink, whether it be whatever a lot of brothers like to do, right? You can work out too much if you want and make yourself an idol, right? And you can also get a hernia. Again, that over satiating, that insatiable lifestyle, right? All it does is bring destruction. All it does is bring that extra poverty. I'm gonna get one more precept and I can get over there if anybody wants to close out. The classic, 1 Timothy chapter 6. I'm gonna start at verse 3. It says, "If any man teach otherwise and consent not to the wholesome words, even words of our Lord Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness, he is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words, whereof cometh envy, strife, railings, evil surmisings, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself. But godliness with contentment is great gain," right? So be content in the things that the Most High God has given you. At the end of the day, especially if you're here watching this, I can safely assume that you probably have electricity to keep you warm in the winter and cool in the summer, right? You probably got some clothes on. You probably got some food to eat, right? You're being taken care of, right? So be content with those things and stop trying to heap up to yourselves things that are just vain, that are going to perish anyway, and that could destroy you on the way out if you're not careful. And with that, I yield.
Con, all praise to the Most High. Lord willing, somebody was edified or will be edified in the coming days, right? Don't serve your own belly, man. This leads to an abyss of addiction, right? And ongoing things that just really pushes the goalposts of obtaining the salvation, right, of Israel. You understand? Right? So don't be selfish, but be selfless. And you won't have many problems with becoming addicted and being greedy or overindulgent or oversaturating yourself with things that are unhealthy to your lifestyle in this walk, man. So like I said, hey, we love you, Israel. Lord willing, somebody was edified or will be on the replay. Hey, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.